Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So this morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, text number 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. So this is 1:15:30. Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Yat Tat Sanghama Murdani
Yat Tat Sangrama Murdhani
Kala Karma Tamurudam
Kala Karma Tamorudham
Punar Adya Prabhu
Punatvatyagamat Prabhu
Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Yat Tat Sanghama Murdani
Yat Tat Sangrama Murdhani
Kala Karma Tamurudam
Kala Karma Tamorudham
Punar Adya Prabhu
Punaradhyagamat Prabhu
Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Yat Tat Sanghama Murdani
Yat Tat Sangrama Murdhani
Kala Karma Tamurudam
Kala Karma Tamorudham
Punar Adya Prabhu
Punaradhyagamat Prabhu Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam Yat Tat Sangrama Murdhani
Yat Tat Sanghama Murdani
Kala Karma Tamorudham
Kala Karma Tamurudam
Punaradhyagamat Prabhu
Punar Adya Prabhu
Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam
Yatat Sangrama Murdhani
Yat Tat Sanghama Murdani Kala Karma Tamurudam Punar Adya Prabhu Gita
Gitam
instructed
instructed
Bhagavata
Bhagavata
by the personality of Godhead.
by the personality of God.
Jnana
Jnanam
transcendental
transcendental knowledge.
yet
Yet
which
that
that Sangrama Murdhani
Sangrama Murdhani
in the midst of battle,
the midst of battle,
Kala Karma,
Kala Karma,
time and action,
time and action,
Tamarudham,
Tamadam,
enwrapped by such darkness,
enwrapped by such darkness,
Puna Adjagamat,
Puna Adyagamat,
revived them again.
revive them again.
Prabhu,
Prabhu,
the Lord of his senses.
Lord of the senses.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Because of the Lord's pastimes and activities, and because of his absence, it appeared that Arjuna forgot the instructions left by the personality of Godhead. But factually, this was not the case. And again, he became the Lord of his senses. Purport. A condition so is enwrapped in his fruitive activities by the force of eternal time. Enwrapped. It's just like completely entangled, just wrapped up, can't escape. It's like they have these straight jackets, straight jackets. When people go mad, they go, the doctors come and they wrap them in these straight jackets and they can't move their arms. They're getting wrapped. They're just completely, unable to do anything. They just can't, their legs and their arms. That's what people are in the material world, enwrapped in the modes of nature, ignorance and passion. But the Supreme Lord, when he incarnates on the earth, is not influenced by Kala or the material conception of past, present, and future. The activities of the Lord are eternal, and they are manifestations of his Atma Maya, or internal potency. All pastimes or activities of the Lord are spiritual in nature, but to the layman, they appear to be on the same level with material activities. Therefore, these rascals, they go to India, the Christians, they go, what kind of a God is this? He's dancing with these ladies dead at night, unmarried women. What kind of a God is this? They think it's just material activity. They don't know. Krishna's completely transcendental. He actually would do that to please the gopis because they love Krishna so much. It's not that his senses were out of control. Even Bhishma said, I can't do like with Krishna. He's a most famous brahmachari, but I can't Be like Krishna, he's out there in the middle of the night with these ladies, completely controlled senses. Dance with them, that was it. They don't know Krishna. Janma karma chamedavya. One who understands the transcendental nature of my birth activities, they don't take birth again. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, to understand the activities of Krishna, not easy. Got extraordinary, amazing activities. It so appeared that Arjuna and the Lord were engaged in the battle of Kurukshetra, as the other party was also engaged. But actually, the Lord was executing his mission of incarnation and association with his eternal friend, Arjuna. Therefore, such apparently material activities of Arjuna did not drive him away from his transcendental position, but on the contrary, revived his consciousness of the songs of the Lord as he sang them personally. This revival of consciousness is assured by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, 1865, as follows. Manmanabhu madbhakto madjadimam namaskuru mamevasyasi satyante pratijane priyosime. One should think of the Lord always. The mind should not forget him. One should become a devotee of the Lord and offer obeisances unto him. One who lives in that fashion becomes undoubtedly endowed with the blessings of the Lord by achieving the shelter of his lotus feet. There is nothing to doubt about this truth, because Arjuna was his confidential friend, and where the secret was disclosed to him. Arjuna had no desire to fight with his relatives, but he fought for the mission of the Lord. He was always engaged in the execution of his mission only, and therefore after the Lord's departure, he remained in the same transcendental position, even though it appeared that he forgot all the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore adjust the activities of life in pace with the mission of the Lord. And by doing this, one is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. This is the highest perfection of life. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnana Shakya Chakshuriyam Tatmai Shri Gurave Namaha Pumnam Haiti Green Yat Pipata Kumbande Shri Gurave Vanchakapati Vishcha Kripa Sindhu Devata Patitanam Avade Krishna Deya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudhi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The goal of the human form of life is to become very attached to Krishna, addicted to Krishna. There's a lot of addictions in the material world, and they're not very good, most of them. People are addicted to television, called couch potatoes. Yes, interesting. The couch potatoes, and they call it the TV the idiot box. Very common. Have you heard of that also? They could say that in India too.
No.
No, it's not. It hasn't got. They haven't become that elevated yet to understand. It's an idiot box. But that's what it is. So people get addicted to movies and now Facebook, and people get addicted to, of course, alcohol. Millions of people are addicted to alcohol. And it tastes terrible.
Mm.
Have you ever taste alcohol?
Beer.
Beer?
Yeah.
Tastes terrible. whiskey, vodka, all these things. Yeah, and it's such a social custom. Like when I was in Miami, we were looking for a temple. We were moving out of our old temple. We're looking for a temple, so we were going around different places, and we would go to people's homes that were so big they were possible temple of them, and inevitably they would offer some kind of alcohol while we're waiting. Hey, you want some drink? Some whiskey or some vodka or some wine or that's okay. We're 4 months. That's a social custom. That's a culture in America. And believe it or not, even devotees, they got their new home, nice new home. And I was, I was visiting and they were doing something. I was just walking around. And even devotees, they would have alcohol. Because just in case some guest, here, you want some drink? Of course, I don't think they were drinking it. I don't think so, but it's a crazy custom in America. A guest comes, here, you want some drink? Here. It's crazy. And therefore, it's such an addiction. Even the priest, like I grew up in an Episcopalian religion. So I think they were like an offshoot of Catholicism. But they would go around, they would give you some bread, a little wafer of bread. And they would give you, and they would give you they would have a little cup of wine, the blood of Jesus. You drink the blood of Jesus. That's the wine. I don't know where they got that. And then I think the bread was the body of Jesus. And a lot of times it'd be extra wine. And they don't want to waste the wine. It costs a good amount of money. Yeah. So many of them, hundreds, if not thousands, became alcoholics. And there'd be whole hospitals, Catholic priests or Episcopalian priests, because they become addicted. People get addicted to, of course, drugs. Big problem. Millions of people are addicted to drugs. And people get addicted to gambling. Ruins people's lives. They become so addicted. They're thinking they're going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. They just put it all out there. And they lose everything and commit suicide. And now also there's something called Alcoholics Anonymous. I think it's called the 12-step program, which is all about God. It's a very religious thing. I mean, people just they just hit the bottom. All right, I need God. I gotta get out of this. It's actually very Christian conscious, God conscious. And then so there's also gambling and anonymous. They become so addicted they need help. Drug addiction anonymous. Now there's also sex anonymous. They're so addicted to sex, so much so that throughout the world, millions of women are attacked and raped. They so attached, they're so addicted, they'll even take away the freedom of another person to fulfill their desires. It's so selfish. And sometimes it just ruins their lives to get raped. It's like, it's like, God, it's just horrible. It must be a horrible experience. So, there's so many addictions. But the best addiction is to be addicted. It's interesting that Prabhupada was in England and he was staying at John Lennon's estate. And there he was staying with Yoko Ono. And devotees were there. They were helping fix it up. And this gave them also a place to stay while they were getting the place together. London. So Shyamsundar, who's not too far away from us now, he arranged for George and John and Yoko to have a discussion with Prabhupada about spiritual life. And they were talking about the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada said, well, you have to be careful about what you're reading, because there's a lot of Bhagavad Gitas that are unorthodox. People are speculating, given their own interpretation. And George said, well, but you also have your interpretation. Prabhupada said, not interpretation, explanation. Big difference. Explanation, not interpretation. Explanation means that the Prabhupada, he's following the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita throughout his life. So he knows the teachings, and he can explain it in a way that people can understand it. But interpretation is when they change. Just like Dr. Radhakrishna, he said, it's not unto Krishna that one must surrender, but to the unborn within Krishna. But where is that in the Bhagavad Gita? It's not in the Bhagavad Gita. That's an interpretation, that's a speculation. And Gandhi, he translated the Bhagavad Gita, but then he said, but I don't know if God, if Krishna ever existed. But how could you translate a book spoken by someone and you don't know if he ever existed? I mean, hello, something wrong there. Another person, he was translating the Bhagavad Gita, and this verse, the next verse after this one, this is 65. 66 is Saradama Brutija Mamikano Saranamuja Antalo Sarapavika Motion Saranaj. Abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender to me. I'll free you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. In the commentary, this rascal says, Krishna's asking for too much. Speculation, misinterpretation. Krishna, he says, just abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. Because if you do that, then you'll come to me. Now that's a big advantage. What's the advantage of going back to Krishna? You go to his abode. And his abode, there's no birth, no death, no old age, no disease, no job where you might be afraid of getting laid off. I hear in Silicon Valley, so many people get laid off, thousands of people, isn't it? Right? So there's freedom. No police, no school, no PhD program you have to get involved. No. So this verse that Prabhupada mentions, in the purport of this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says this is the best knowledge, it's the highest knowledge. He says it twice in the purport of this verse. So this is the highest knowledge. Always think of Krishna. We have to think of something, unless someone's brain dead. But we have to think of something, and it's what is it? The psychologists say that people are thinking of. I forgot how many things they're thinking of in 1 hour, like hundreds of things. So the mind is always thinking of something. So the best thing to think of.
It's 2,000.
Huh?
2,000 thoughts per hour.
2,000. You looked it up. 2,000 thoughts an hour, and then it's all nonsense. No Christian in there for most people, except only devotees. So, but we're trying to think of Krishna. The Prabhupada says many times, 24 hours a day. He says it many times. That means when you're sleeping. One devotee told me that we were at a program. We were traveling, and there was some festival going on in Atlanta, Georgia, I think. And one devotee said, Vijaya, last night we were all sleeping, and in your sleep you lifted your arm and said, "Excuse me, sir, are you from here or out of town?" In my sleep, I lifted my arm. I was trying to sell something. So that's also thinking of Krishna, devotional service. So, yeah, also when we're sleeping, we could be thinking of our service. Just like we saw that Deva Prasta was sleeping here on on the couch, and he had his hands like this. I took a picture of him, and Deva Plus is in his sleep, he's praying for service. So 24 hours a day. That means when we're awake, we got to be really absorbed in Christians. Otherwise, it's not possible. And whatever it is that we're thinking of, that's what we're attached to. That's what we're attached to. So we're trying to become attached Christians. Give up all of our other attachments and become attached Christian. This will be very satisfying to the soul and to the mind. So always think of me, become my devotee. People are devoted to so many people in this world. It's like I heard recently, I was listening to Mahatma Guru. He said that for John Lennon's birthday, there was 7 lorry trucks bringing his birthday cards to his home. Birthday card, yeah, 7 lorry trucks, these big trucks, huge. 7 of them. So they worship rock stars. That's a very common thing. People worship rock stars, and also the movie stars.
Mm.
They people get these have these tours, and they go around. Yeah, this movie star lives here, and this movie star. Oh, really? They take a picture of them, or they do their nonsense. Yeah, people worship. So devoted. But better to worship Krishna and to worship devotees. David Vijaya, Guru Prabhu, Pujanam Sotamard, Brahmacharya, Himsaja, Sarira Tapuchi. This is the austerities of the body. Deva, to worship God. Everybody should worship God. This brings auspiciousness to a person's life, to worship God. One may say, well, how do you worship God? First, you bow down. Bow down. In the Bible also it says that you bow down. Even it said, they don't use the word dandavat, but like that, and lay down, bow before God. And all of it, it's like in the Muslim religion, they have they 5 times a day, they bow down. Nice, wherever they are, they bow down. That helps us to become humble. Humility. It's very important. I remember when I was a kid, about I was maybe 16, I remember saying, I'll never bow down to anybody. But then Krishna humbled me through his material nature, and I bowed down. Now I bow down all the time. And what is it? I think it was Raghunath Das Goswami, 2,000 times a day to the devotees, and 1,000 times a day to the deities. That's a lot of transcendental push-ups. That's what they are, actually. We become strong spiritually and materially. So we have to worship Krishna. One devotee went in to pay obeisance to Prabhupada, and he went like this. And Prabhupada said, "What is this hatchet? What is this hatchet obeisance?" No. So that's just becomes like a ritual. No, you should spend some time down there. It's a devotional activity. You should not criticize that. So it's a devotional activity, bowing down, worshiping Krishna. So always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me. Everything should be offered to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. What is that? Isavashimedan sarvam yet kitchen jagatam chena chakjena bhumika Everything that exists is owned and control Krishna. And therefore we should only utilize things in the service of Krishna. People think that things belong to them, but we're born in this world with nothing. We leave with nothing but our desires. Actually, we're born in this world with desires. Also, we're born in this world with parents, but not always. Sometimes not. Sometimes the woman dies giving birth. It's such an intense thing. Sometimes the child also is called stillbirth. It also dies. Sometimes they both die. But in any case, yeah, we're born in this world with desires. That's what we're mostly born in this world. We have our desires. And it appears when they're young, the little babies, they appear so innocent and pure. 1 year old, 2 years old. But they have so many desires. The desires come out. Just like Hitler, he was probably a cute little kid. Stalin or Putin, probably cute little kids. Cootie. But then the demon in them comes out. So yeah, we're born in this world with desires. So we're trying to become free of our material desires, and that happens by surrender to Krishna, worshiping Krishna, attached. See, in the beginning, there's some attraction, right? We read the books, or we associate with devotees, or we get some nice prasadam, and we become attracted. And from that attraction, we become inquisitive, and we become attached. I'd like to be. Let me check it out. And then eventually hopefully we become absorbed and then addicted to Krishna. So what happened with going back to this meeting with George Harrison and Prabhupada and John and Yoga. So they were discussing about, which Bhagavad Gita you have your, interpretation. Now Prabhupada said explanation. So the conversation was going on, and then I think it was Shyamsundar said, you have to find out who's addicted. That's Prabhupada. He was addicted to Krishna. Just like when Prabhupada was in India, they would go to holy places. And the pujari there, they wouldn't know who's the leader here. Because they don't know. Prabhupada's there, but there's the others, the Americans are tall Americans, kind of sticking out. So who's the leader here? And everybody would separate, and he's the leader. And devotees would see when Prabhupada would go to these holy places, he would become he would just get absorbed Krishna. And the devotees, they're just trying to get out of the modes of nature, but Prabhupada is completely absorbed in Krishna. So it's a whole nother consciousness. Prabhupada had a whole nother consciousness. But someone doesn't know Prabhupada, they don't know who's the leader here. Prabhupada is very clearly the leader, and he was addicted to Krishna. And that's why he had so much success. Not only was he addicted to Krishna, but he was addicted to his spiritual master, to following the order of his spiritual master. He took that as his life and soul. Vyavasyamika buddhya, ekeha bahusabha, buddhya. That this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, what is it, Krishna? He says that those who are on this path, they're focused, one-pointed determination. However, those who are not on this path, it's many branches. Therefore, so many thoughts. Prabhupada's thought was Vyavasayami kapu ekeha. One pointed fixed determination. And this is what what is it? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said this gave him great inspiration in his life also. So Prabhupada, he saw that also. We had to be one pointed fixed determination to serve Krishna, to please Krishna, to think of Krishna. And a devotee, I was just listening to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said a devotee sees 4 different personalities. He sees Krishna as a supreme personality of God. And he tries to serve him with love. That's the goal. Like when we're chanting Hare Krishna, that should be our mood. Krishna, please purify my mind. Purify me, the soul and his body, so I just want to engage in devotional service. This should be our mood. Please purify me so that I can serve you with love and devotion. So this is how we should think of Krishna. He's the supreme personality of God, and we all servants. And then he thinks of the devotees also. Devotees, he sees them as servants of Krishna. And there's different types of devotees. So someone who's senior to us, we try to serve those devotees. And those who are the same level of Krishna consciousness, we create friendships with those. And also try to serve. That's the most congenial way to express one's affection for someone is by service. And also then there's someone who's just coming to Krishna consciousness. We try to help them. That's also service. So it's always service. But we're trying to give some guidance to someone who's just coming. So Krishna, so there's 4 persons. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, devotees. Then there's the innocent. We try to help them along in the Krishna consciousness. It's like we go on book distribution, and there's many people out there that are innocent, and also searching. People are searching for the truth, and they're innocent. So we try to help them, give them Prabhupada's books, preach to them, and get some contact information, try to help them along. And then there's the last one is the enemies. We avoid them. Unripe mangoes. Unripe mango, you just leave it. If you want a ripe mango, you just leave it. Of course, you could use it for mango, but
Mango pickle.
Pickle, mango pickle. So yeah, leave it alone. You don't want to push. This is it's like an amazing verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, "Itite jnanam akyat guyaviyatamam vimsha visheshena yata yata vimsha visheshena yateshu tatakuru." Now Krishna, he explained the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and then Krishna said to Arjuna, "Now I've explained to you knowledge which is even more confidential. Now you do as you wish." He gives it that free will. Free will is always there. Do as you wish. No one is forced to do anything. It's all volunteer. We're all volunteers. Hare Krishna movement. So, say Prabhupada, you would say that we have so many book distributors, hundreds of book distributors. Nobody's asking for payment. Nobody wants payment. It's all volunteer. Like Siva Ramaswamy was on book distribution one time, Chicago airport, and one businessman was watching, and he could see this guy's good. So he went up there and said, "Listen, I can give you a job, 40,000 a year." Now, 40,000 a year now, that's like poverty. But back in 1970, that's like 100,000. That's like maybe a little more, 40,000 a year. He said, "No, that's okay." He said, "You cannot give me the pay that I get. You can't give me equal what I'm going to get from doing what I'm doing. And I don't have to pay." So, this is all volunteer. And then he started preaching to him about Krishna consciousness. And then he gave him a donation. He gave him $20. I don't think he took a vote. He said, well, before he left, he said, it sure would be nice to have sincere boys like you working for me. But then I would have to be like your guru. And I'm not like that. So you can see a little insight there. And Prabhupada was such a great devotee, addicted to Krishna, completely absorbed in serving Krishna. And this is what attracted him. Because if you're absorbed in Krishna, then there's so much love for Krishna. And this is what attracted him. There's so much affection, so much love. Like before Prabhupada went to New York City, there was an unwritten rule. Don't trust anyone over 35. Prabhupada's twice that age. And the youth are giving their life. Forget that rule. Now we found someone who we can give our life to. So I'm going to stop there. Any question? Yes, Prabhu.
The question, two questions, but the first one is going back to like the different kind of addictions that are kind of plaguing this Kali Yuga age, and especially now. Like I see a lot of times when approaching Krishna conscious, the idea is to dovetail whatever you're doing with, like a devotional activity. Like if you're struggling with meat eating, then you can eat a lot of prasad, or if you're struggling with, like television addiction, for example, then okay, you could read something like
We have ITV.
yeah, and we have Hare Krishna TV and all. We have so many. Radha Gopinath has so many dramas you can watch. So like that, I feel like there's so many options of something you can do as an alternative that's equally nourishing. But then there's also these more gross forms of sense gratification, like you have meat, like intoxication, and then like illicit sex and gambling. There's no real like alternative, and in that case, it's more just you try to follow the process. So I was wondering if you had any advice for people who like struggle with those things, the best way to get free of that.
Very good question. Well, Prabhupada was speaking, he said, actually, we're gambling. We're gambling because we're giving our life to Krishna. But we don't know what the result is going to be. Right? We don't know if we're going back to God. I mean, we're hoping, we're praying. We can go back to God, but we don't know. Ultimately. And that's gambling. When people are gambling, they're putting, money, and they don't know if they're going to win or not. So we also don't know. So it's, we're kind of gambling. And as far as sex, yeah, the marriage is that people can get married, have children. Yeah. That's step down. But no illicit sex. But there's illicit sex. I mean, that's most people get married because that's an inherent desire within the body. But if one can come to the realization, I'm not the body, it isn't my real desire, spiritual desire, then one can overcome it.
The other question, the other question was like for envious people, we should just try to avoid them. Sometimes, especially on book distribution, you might come in across with some person who is envious and maybe even like starts blaspheming or like approaches the table and just won't leave until they get some points across. Then what is the best way to just get out of that situation as quickly as possible so you can spend your time on something more useful, like giving to people who are receptive.
Yeah. In my years of book distribution, I had many experiences of envious people. I've even had people come And like I was in the airport distributing, they'd say, I'm gonna stand here and make sure you don't distribute any books. I said, okay, good. You just stay here, don't move. I'm gonna go get the police. Because they can't do that. So then I'd walk away. And then I'd walk about 2 minutes and I'd turn around, they're gone. Or in Miami, we had a lot of, just crazy people. There was one person who would come in here, would sell a book to someone, he'd go and ask them, do you want to keep that book? No. He'd come back and he'd rip the book up in our face. So we had some friends that were undercover cops. So I found one of my friends was undercover policeman. And I said, hey, this guy's over here. He's getting books from people. He's ripping the books up right in front of our face. The police came. He said, yeah, no problem. So we're walking. I'm walking with the undercover cop. And this envious Christian, he comes and says, hey, don't get a book from him. These guys, it's just a code. And the cop pulls out his badge. He says, you got 2 seconds to get out of my face, or I'm going to take you to jail. And they go, and the guy didn't, we took off. So yeah, we got to be pretty good at dealing with envious people.
Sometimes like that desire is also there to, sit there and argue or prove your point. How is there any way to get rid of that desire?
One thing is that, well, if you don't do what I'm telling you now, you'll learn the hard way. Generally, when we're out facing, Christians come and they try to convert us and get their message across. So don't waste time. In a very nice way, just tell them, I'd love to speak to you, but I'm very busy and have a nice day. And it's a nice way to just end the conversation because you're going to waste time. They're going to try to convert you, and we're not interested in being Christians, and they're not going to become a Hare Krishna. So both of you just wasting time. It's better just in as nice a way as possible end the conversation. I mean, there are Christians that take books.
Yeah.
There's nice Christians out there that take books, but there's people out there that are they're just interested in converting you. So just avoid them. There's there's people that just like to talk. They're not interested in what you have to say. They just like to talk. So in a situation like that, also just in a nice way, I'm busy. I have a lot of service to do here. Just in a nice way, just try to end the conversation. But if people are innocent and they're inquisitive, then could spend time. We're a personal movement, but sometimes we can be impersonal. Like I remember in Miami, I was we were trying to cultivate people. So we had an 8-story building. There was one Indian man in the elevator with me, so I started talking to him. And he said, I've been here. This is the 8th time I've been here. No one has even spoken to me. This is the first time anybody spoke to me. So sometimes we can feel impersonal. We should, be personal with people. Like if you meet a nice person on book distribution, spend some time. That could be the turning point in their life where they become a devotee. Many devotees have come because the devotee spent some time with them. They were sincere and they were asking questions and became attracted. I had an experience with that at a university. I was talking to this one man, young lady, that given some time preaching, and then she became a devotee, still a devotee. It's 40 years ago. So give some time. It's good. Okay.
Is Prabhu ki jai.